All right, so the other day I found these two bad boys on Marketplace. Talked to the guy for a long time. Finally negotiated a price of $350. If you know, you know. It's a HappyRun G100. However, this one doesn't work. The motor turns a little bit and then stops. This one clearly, he said the motor locked completely up. I have snatched the batteries off of this one for a different bike project. I'm gonna upload some videos on that soon. But we are looking at this motor. I'm gonna see if I can't figure out how this motor works to try to fix this motor, because I think from the little bit I know about electric e-bike motors at this present moment, I think there's like a torque sensor or something, so the motor will try to turn, it can't sense torque or RPM or something, and it just stops. So I'm editing this video right now, and I've learned a lot from this project, and it turns out that's not how it works. Keep watching. Well, this one hopefully has a different issue. So I'm going to do some research. I'm going to bring you guys along with me as I tear this motor down, having no idea what I'm doing, and try to do some research and get it working. Let's see what we can do. Alright, so I got the other motor here. Got it taken apart a little bit. Actually, it was super easy. Just take the disc off, a couple of Allen head screws, and then that thing kind of just jimmied right off of there. To get it apart any further, now I have the snap ring, and my snap ring pliers are absolutely terrible. So I'm gonna run and get some snap ring pliers real quick and try to get this off of here. Wrong again. You literally just pull it. Still going to Harbor Freight though. But I'm kind of thinking or hoping that right there, you can't see it on the camera, but it looks like the wire's cut. So I'm kind of hoping it's cut and two of the three phase wires are shorting out on each other. If not, might be related to this component here. That's the PCB for the Hall effect sensors. That's all it does. There's 3 Hall effect sensors to detect the phase of the motor. There's 1 Hall effect sensor to detect RPM. That was the problem. Well, and also everything was shorted. Electric motors really aren't that complicated, I think. Maybe we'll find out, but maybe this is a temperature sensor or something. We're gonna do some research. We'll figure it out. But first, let me get some snap ring pliers and let's look at this wire here. All right, I just made it to Harbor Freight. Look, they got the whole entire pliers section. Are we gonna get the good ones? Ooh, precision. Psych, let's get the cheapest thing we can get. Ooh, $4. Got it. All right. So, look, I got the thing off. But look, that's exactly what's wrong with this motor, and that's the only thing, as far as I can tell. A whole bunch of these wires are cut. We could fix this up in a jiffy. Got to figure out how to get this dealio off, or how those wires slide through there. I'm gonna figure it out. I'll be back. I'll show you guys. Okay, so on careful examination, and by careful examination I mean hitting this thing with a hammer and trying to rip it off with pliers, it looks like the wires just feed through the hole here, which unfortunately for us means we're gonna have to desolder all of this, and especially these, which actually seem to be the ones that are broken further up here. So I'm gonna start desoldering them. Do not, I repeat, do not desolder the phase wires from the actual phases. You'll see me do that in this video, and it's terrible. It makes a holy mess. You got to have a huge, tremendous amount of power to solder that stuff back together. Be smart. Clip the phase wires. Leave enough to solder back to, and then you only have to solder the wires that come into the hub. You don't have to solder it back to those like 500 phase wires. Try to get this bad boy off, and then we will fix the cut in it. All right, so I don't know if all e-bike motors are like this, but I was trying to get this thing up and I noticed these, surely these are heat sensors. That's a Hall effect sensor. Those are all Hall effect sensors at this point, and they're kind of wedged down in there like that. So what I did was try to do one where you can see it. You can see it. I just kind of took my little things and just kind of pulled up on it just a little bit, and they popped right out of there. So now this is sort of loose. I'm gonna gently lift it up. Now we can get to all the wiring, so we can desolder those wires, pull them out, and then fix the cut. All right, so I brought this thing inside into my laboratory here so that we can start getting this stuff desoldered. What I want to do first is just take careful note of what I'm going to call the phase distribution, just where the wires go, which coils that they connect to, so when we take them apart we can put them back in the right spot. You're not going to have that problem though, because you're not going to desolder them from the phases. You're going to snip them, right? And I think I'm gonna desolder this first. You know, normally I would take some pictures of this, but you guys are here and y'all are keeping track of where the stuff goes. So it looks like we have from left to right, white, yellow, blue, green, black, red. So that appears to just be phases, and then power. I'm gonna get this stuff desoldered. Then I guess we gotta desolder these big phase wires. That's gonna be fun to unsolder and resolder. No, but we'll get it. Get all this goop off of here first. So we can solder. I don't know what the stuff is. Oh, look at that. They're labeled. And soldered really terribly. Probably properly without lead-based solder, which is great. Saved the planet, but also annoying. That is not lead-free solder, I don't think. Well, well, well. If anybody knows what this part right here is called, that'd be nice to know. David from the future here again. That's just a Hall effect sensor board. If you need to replace that actual board on your HappyRun G100, you're gonna have to order one. The only place I could find one was Alibaba or AliExpress, but you need one that has the 3 Hall effect sensors, but also the 4th RPM sensor, I guess, in case I gotta get another one. Look at that. This is the board, so you can actually look at it. Pretty simple, just got positive, negative. This is power to all the Hall effect sensors, and it goes as they're labeled A, B, come on camera, C, D. And you can test your Hall effect sensors with this still in there if you just apply 5 volts to positive, ground the negative, and then you can read these. What it should do is, as you rotate the motor, it should flip between close to 0 volts and close to 5 volts. That's how I ultimately ended up figuring out that all of the Hall effect sensors on this thing were bad. I guess this shorted out and killed like all of them. This is a spare board from the other bike, but I replaced all of them on the other board. You'll see that. Simple as that. Oh, now transition. Cut this. This does not appear to be normal heat shrink. This stuff is hard. hard, so I'm trying to figure out how to get that off. I probably should have been a good YouTuber and cut out this part here, but I just wanted you to see how dumb I was and why you should just cut the phase wires. Okay, that's enough. Alright, so I got all of the heat shrink off of there. Man, this is some tough stuff. Not crazy tough, but tougher than the heat shrink I got to put back on it, I'll tell you that. And it looks like these are just straight soldered on. So we are going to solder them on there. So I'm aware that most people don't have a hot air rework station, and most people don't even have a really nice soldering iron. But rest assured, if you do it properly, like I've explained, you're not going to need the hot air. I had to use the hot air because my iron alone didn't have enough power to get those phase wires off the windings. All right, simple as that. Just kidding, that was a nightmare. And really, those are huge solder joints. I don't really have equipment suitable for solder joints that big. However, we did it. It's done. They're out now. This, maybe we can pull this up. You can, in fact, just pull it up through there. It's really, really tough to get out. I've seen some other people on YouTube just kind of yanking them. If you have a heat gun or some hot air, I put a little bit of heat at the bottom where there's like the white paste glue. Made it a lot easier. If you look here, you'll see clearly the problem is the blue wire and the yellow wire completely broken. These two phase wires chafed. So I'm just going to solder these back, and I'm going to put something on these where they can't touch. That's not true. I tried that. It didn't work. If you're going to fix your bike and you want it to actually work afterwards, you're going to have to pull those wires out. What I found out works is, one, the heat that I was explaining, but also if the sheath is almost certainly already cut if you're doing this. So pull the wires out individually and it'll make it a lot looser, and you put a little heat and the thing should snatch right out. Okay, so after much trial and error, I did all that repairs to these, liquid electrical tape, everything, and then I realized it was stripped down there where I had pulled it out. So it looks like the actual way to do this is to pull these out one by one. I'm gonna have to, one at a time. They should all come out, and then I'll be able to repair them perfectly. See the white one coming out? I'll be able to repair them all properly and then shove them back through and wire them up. So we'll be back. All right, we got an absolute mess on this desk, but I got this thing pulled out, so now we can do an actual proper repair. I ended up having to cut those where they were soldered before so that they could go through. So hopefully there's a little slack somewhere in the system where I can do a little extra. Trying to figure out what to do with this chafing. I think I'm gonna try to get any sharp strands down, and I'm just gonna heat shrink it maybe twice, and then I'm gonna try to heat shrink the whole thing and get it where we can get it back through here. All right, I did a terrible job at explaining this, and I didn't even show any of the process. Basically, I did just double heat shrink those chafe spots after I got any sharp wires or anything down or cut off. And then after that, the tape that you see on it is actually electrical harness tape like you use in a car. It's highly like abrasion resistant. So once you do it, once you shrink them, wrap it with that. Be careful though, because you got to slide it back through there. But I was able to get it back through there, and whoa, blowtorch. And anyway, this is just me trying to solder these phases. You're not going to have to deal with that. All right, so I decided to just skip me soldering these main windings because I was just struggling so bad. I finally ended up getting them soldered. If I do this again, I will not cut the part off that's already tinned, you definitely don't want to do that. But I did get this solder, and what I did was I tested the windings here. I tested the resistance between them. All three of them have equal resistance. These wires have continuity all the way through, so should be as simple as just putting the board back in now, and we should be good to go. All right, so I'm getting the motor back together to put in the hub, and I ran into this issue I just wanted to point out in case anyone else does. So with this planetary gear, the way it slides on here, there's a key right here, right? This one had shoved itself into the side of the axle, and it made a little burr here. So what I had to do was grind it down a little bit to get this planetary to slide on. So I'm gonna get this together, drop it in the hub, and then we'll test the bike. All right, got the hub dropped back in the rim. Simple as that. Once you get the planetary on it, it really just drops back in. Kind of hard to get this black cover over this wire, especially if you tape this up good, but that friction tape is much stronger than this rubber that's on this thing originally, so hopefully that will avoid any future issues. We're here at the bike, got the bike powered on. I'm about to give a little test whirl, just a little. Yes, success. Let's drive this bad boy. All right, so it's the next day. I got the motor reinstalled back on the bike. I'm gonna show you here. Whoops, that battery's dead. So it does work, works flawlessly. We're riding again. So simple as that. Got the thing fixed. A few things I will say: when I cut those wires and put them back in there, I did have to use some RTV to like hold that board securely in place. Your mileage may vary. I couldn't get the control board back in there exactly how it was before, but it is secured and secured well. I actually super glued the Hall effect sensors in there, but super glue doesn't work well in high vibration environments, so I put a little bit of RTV over it as well, just to make sure that they don't move in the long term, because a friend of mine is going to be purchasing this bike for me. I want to make sure that he has a good product that lasts for a long time. But that's how you fix your hub motor on your HappyRun G100. It's great, it's good. I bought this bike for actually about 2 of these for $350, so major come up there. This bike apparently, he said, had 50 miles or so on it. The odometer reset back to 0 for whatever reason, but great come up, good success. So we're going to sell this, we're going to put the money into the fast bike.